printing my booklet double-sided to the Ricoh printer, and you can see my pages here are non-facing single pages, and I've just labeled the pages with a number on them. I don't have any design on them. And this box corresponds to the text box or printing area with the margins. Okay, so I'm going to go to File and come down to Print Booklet, not Print, but Print Booklet. And when I hit that, the very first thing I want to do, that I'll notice, is that I'm going to pick the booklet type. In other words, how am I going to bind the book pages together in the end? In this case, it's going to be 2-up perfect bound, as opposed to being 2-up saddle stitch would be normally our other option. But for this particular demo, we're going to do 2-up perfect bound. That's where it's glued single pages together on the spine. Notice since I did the print booklet, not the regular print command, then this looks a little bit different as the first window. I also see in the preview window I have a yellow caution sign, so something is not right here. I think it's probably the page size, so we're going to correct that. So I'm going to go to Print Settings, and from the Print Settings window, I'm immediately going to hit Page Setup. So this is one of the differences from the print window, not print booklet window, is that I would see Page Setup right away in that. So I'm going to click on this, and you could click this box if you'd like, so you don't see this little warning sign all the time. I leave it up just to show us here. But normally we would just click on that and then say OK, and we would go to the Page Setup. So here I want to make sure I'm going to the printer that I expect to print to, in this case the Ricoh. So I might have to choose that from this list so that it shows up here. And then the paper size. So the biggest distinction with this is that this is the actual piece of paper that you are printing to. It's not the page size that you're ending up for your book. So in our demo here, in the end, we're going to have a letter half size page in the book, but we're printing to an actual letter size, full letter size piece of paper, or 8.5 by 11. So I need to look in the list, and I believe it's towards the bottom, US letter. So I'm going to pick that, and that of course is 8.5 by 11, and I'm clicking the horizontal or landscape orientation, and the little icon guy has his head on the right. It's the only choice I have here in the page setup window. But a little bit later we're going to have to match this, and then I'll have a choice of him being his head on the right or the left. And we want them to be the same for this first printing. So I have that. That's all I need to do here, scaling it at 100%, and I OK it. Then I'm back to the print window, and I go to the printer button. And in our regular print command, that would be the printer setup window. This does look familiar to us. We're confirming that it's going to the Ricoh printer. We're going to change the default settings by making a couple changes down here. The first is, it may seem to you that you should have two-sided checked, but you do not. So don't check two-sided. Click All, and then we're doing this from the layout choices. So then I go down to, also I suppose I should make sure that reverse page orientation and flip horizontally, neither one of those are checked. I'm going to color matching, and here I want again to confirm that it's the Ricoh printer we're going to, and I get that because it might look like this at first, so you have to click on color sync and then choose, if you have several profiles that are on your computer, make sure it's the Ricoh one that you're using. And that's all we need to do there. So again, this from this middle horizontal line is where we're getting all these choices, these menus. So from color matching, I'm going to go down to paper handling, and there I want collate pages checked, and the pages to print, we're going to print odd first. So I'm changing this to odd, and the page order is automatic. Don't scale anything. And then we'll go to the next one, paper feed. And in here, we could leave auto select, but if we do, we'll have to click another button on the printer itself. So if you change this to tray 1, that's the tray that holds the 8.5 by 11 or US letter paper size. And that's all we need to do there. So then we can go to cover page, which would be none. Job log, you shouldn't have to do anything there. Nothing here. But on printer features, you do. So under printer features, the main one is the resolution. So since we are using the Ricoh printer profile, then we can increase the resolution to 1200 dpi and continue that. We are collating. Economy color is off. Image smoothing, you could put that one on, and it's in color. So at this point, that's the last one out of, well, the supply levels will tell us our ink levels on the Ricoh, and at this point we're okay. And so then we're ready to hit this button. This is a misnamed button. It implies that we're now going to send it to the printer, but we won't. It's just an OK button. So we click that, and we're back to the print window. And in here now, we want to essentially confirm the same things we just got through doing from the page setup and printer buttons. We're confirming many of those same settings from these options and their controls that come up on the right. So under General, we're doing one copy. Under Setup, here's where we want to make sure we're going to US letter. And here's that orientation icon. So in here we have 4 choices, where in the page setup we only had 2, or printer setup we only had 2. We want to change this to his head being on the right-hand side, and the page position is centered. Notice there's a centered horizontally and vertically as well as up or left. Make sure it's centered totally. Then under marks and bleeds, typically we do not have any of those checked for the letter half to up perfect bound setting that we're doing. So uncheck the printer marks. Output, here we should be okay. Graphics, we should be okay. Color management, in here we want to, our main one is this one here under options from the Ricoh printer. We should let inDesign determine the color. So virtually every printer that you always go to, let the software that you're using control the color. And then the printer profile, we do want to change this one now to be the Ricoh one, which is down towards the bottom. And it's a composite CMYK. Preserve those numbers, and that should be all that you have to do here. So at this point, we can say OK, and finally we're back to the print booklet window. The main thing is that so this is the same as we started out with. Under preview, when we look at this, we can usually get an indication of why that caution sign is up, and in this and it'll be down here in the message area. And it says 2 blank pages have been added to create the booklet. See pages 9 and 12. So if I go and scroll this along to see, it'll tell me that this last page is blank, and let's see if we go back here, and here is also a blank page. So what this is telling us is that it's making a multiple of 12 pages because we're printing 2 up. They aren't spreads, but they are 2 pages per piece of paper. So in this case, we're going to print page 1 of our book right next to or on the same piece of paper on the same side as page 4. And on the back of that, which will be an even page, it will be number 2 and 3. So when we say we're printing odds and evens, it doesn't mean the booklet page 2, 4, 6, 8, and so forth. It means in this case, these 2 together are page 1, and these 2 together are page 2, or an even page. So when we print the odds, we're going to see come out of the printer this one, and this one. And so this one will not print, and neither will those opposite ones that I skipped. So hopefully that makes sense, but we'll see this happen now in just a minute. So I'm going to say print, and that is a print button, so it's going to the printer, and we're going to check back here in just 1 second.